Hi friends, welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Caitlin and I like to film eyeshadow palette ranking and review videos, as well as the occasional other content sprinkled in. So if you like indie makeup, if you like eyeshadow palettes, if you like me, I highly recommend that you hit that subscribe button because I post 2 videos every single week. And for those of you that are not new here, my face is happy that you are seeing it again. And I'm sorry that it sounds like I'm out of breath, but like I'm like wheezing. So it's a little hard to breathe. So talking for that duration was a little difficult. Anyways, okay. I'm excited for today's video. It is a new kind of video for me. So hopefully a lot of you, I'm assuming it's not going to be most of you, but I'm hoping a lot of you still enjoy this kind of content. I'm going to get into it a little bit more during the video, but basically, as you can see by the title, we are doing a build your own palette, trying to dupe the vibes of the Colourpop and Twilight collab. So if you don't know what a build your own palette is, it's where you take shades that you already have and you create your own palette. In this sense, since we're duping the vibes, we tried to and by we, I mean me, tried to recreate the unearthly, or not the unearthly, oh my gosh, the Colourpop and Twilight collab palette. Hopefully this isn't flipped. Sometimes when I filmed with it, my camera's like mirrored, so it's flipping it, but I'm trying to put it like, okay, so I'm going to put the Colourpop one here, and this is one I did. Okay, there we go. Some of my shades are duochrome, and so they're reflecting in the studio light like the brightest duochrome that they can. So, or not duochrome, the brightest reflection that they can. So they're going to look a little bit brighter than the Colourpop version, but I promise they have a shift that's a little bit darker. This is about as close as I could get with my palettes that were magnetic with square pans, although I just discovered that Unearthly's palettes are magnetic, I think, and I didn't know that. So, anywho, speaking of Unearthly, this is why I said Unearthly earlier, I'm using a magnetic palette that I got off of Unearthly Cosmetics a while back. I have a ton of palettes that I pulled together to create this. I'm going to put up a picture, but I'm going to give a disclaimer before I put the picture up. I wrote the name of the palette like with my finger on my phone using the like little like drawing feature on my iPhone. So don't judge the handwriting, okay? I write a lot nicer than this, but here it is. This will tell you what palette each shade is from. Quite a few palettes, but obviously we have Pistache is the Viseart Petite 4 Pistache palette. We have the Viseart Petite Matte's Cool. That's the little tiny blue one. And then we have the Viseart Cashmere Charmeuse Étendue. We have Adept Cosmetics Ninhydrin, Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane Remastered, Natasha Denona Retro Glam, Natasha Denona Xenon, Adept Cosmetics Cimmerian Sunset, and Ensley Rain Harvest Moon. So those are all the palettes that are in here, at least have a shade. Some of them only have a shade. Some of them have quite a few. Like Xenon, I think, has the most. And one thing I decided to do this year was keep track of how often I use my palettes for content, even if I'm not putting them on my eyes. So I did count this as like a use for each palette because I used them to create the build your own palette and posted a video with it on TikTok. So it's used to create content. If I use the shades, I'm going to keep track of the shades I use on the eyes, so then I'll count that as like actual uses for the palettes as well. But anyways, I don't know if any of you care, but I'm accounting it for like my year end. So when I go to declutter, I know like, am I reaching for it for content purposes or no? I think that's helpful. If I do comparisons or something with something, I'm going to count that as well. If I do swatches, you know, you get what I'm saying. Like if it's used for content, I feel like for me that counts. For my monthly rankings, when I talk about my most used palettes, I'm keeping that to truly what's like going on my eyeballs. So there you go. Anyways, let's get into it. This was a very long introduction. All right, so I'm going to do 2 looks with this palette. We're going to do look number 1 today. And I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. So I don't have a sequin shade, which is a matte with glitter. That's what it looks like the black is from the screenshot swatches or not screenshots, but the pictures swatches that I've seen of the palette, the Colourpop one. So I pulled this shade, I think it's Posh from Xenon. the Natasha Denona Xenon. So it's a cream to powder matte, but I know it doesn't go that black. So I'm kind of like, should I have done that? I don't know, but whatever. We're going to start there. I don't know about all of you, but from what I've seen online, the discourse that I've seen, I think a lot of you are, I had black eyeshadow on my finger. I think a lot of you are kind of similar to me in that you're sick of the buy, all the new stuff. Like, you know, like you just want to enjoy your collection, but it feels like you can't because it's just new makeup. And I was reflecting, and I feel like for sure social media plays into it. And it's so hard because as a content creator, I know that if I post anything that's not brand new, I'm not getting a ton of views. Like that is, that's essentially what's going to happen. So I'm hoping this one is different, but that's what's always deterred me from doing these sorts of videos, because listen, I'm not trying to make this like a full-time job. That's not my goal. I have a full-time job that I really enjoy. So I don't want to leave that to do this full-time, but I don't want to make videos that nobody sees, you know? Like, it's a lot of work. If you've never made a video, you know, just know that it's the time to not only film, but to edit and then to post it. Sometimes YouTube takes forever and a day to post videos, depending on how long they are. So, you know, it's just a lot of commitment. So when you do that and only like 100 people see the video, sort of feels like a bust. That being said, I felt like what word am I trying to look for? While I think on my word, I'm going to go in with this dark green. I want to say this is from Harvest Moon, but I could be wrong. Yes, Harvest Moon. That being said, I have seen the discourse online. I've agreed with the discourse that we don't want to be inundated with new stuff. We want different content. I see a lot of people kind of feel similar to me, that it's, you know, kind of annoying when all you see is the new content, especially when it's the same thing, you know? And I get why brands do that, right? They're making their launch like the big deal. So they want, you know, all of their collaborators to post. And also, I don't even think that that's necessarily within the brand's control. If you're not first on social media in the beauty community, you're last. Like, nobody, by the time you post, nobody cares if everybody else has already posted with it. And I do think that's unfortunate. And I know there's going to be some of you that comment and go, that's not true. Like, I watch it. You're the minority, my friend. You are. So good on you for still watching it. But that's just the way that it goes. What I want to do is work in more content that is not buy. I bought like 100 eyeshadow palettes last year. That is a ridiculous number. I decluttered, gosh, like 40, I think. Was it 30 or 40? Does anybody remember? It was a lot. It was at least 30, possibly upwards of 40 palettes by the end of the year. So there were palettes that I didn't even have an entire year, that I just didn't even want. I bought them, and some of them were legitimate, like, that was my bad. I thought I wanted it, but I didn't actually. Some of them were, I got caught up in the hype and I knew I didn't want it, but I still bought it anyway. And I don't want to make those mistakes anymore. I want to really pare down what eyeshadow I'm purchasing so that I can, you know, fully test out and review it. Like, when I'm giving you all a review, like a finalized review, I'm going to try and do the Palette Palooza series again. That sort of fell off last year. When I give you all a finalized review, I want it to be thorough. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be somebody that's like, I use this a couple of times and yeah, sure, it's fine. And then I have people in the comments being like, I have this shade that's like super patchy or blah, blah, blah. Like, because I never tried it, so I didn't know. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I ever lie to you. I'm going to use this mid-tone green next, and this is from Sumerian Sunset. Do you all get what I'm saying though? Like, I just want to be thorough. I want to use my makeup more. I want to use the palettes that I already have in my collection. I want to really get to know the new palettes that I decide to bring into the collection. Like, I have things that I want to do that consistently buying new makeup prevents me from doing. And that's not to say I'm not going to buy new makeup. Like, my goal for the year is to be within 36 to 48 new palettes, which is still a lot for a majority of people. It's not that much for me, unfortunately, but I think it's a good, because it's, if I go up to 48, that's basically half of what I bought last year. But if I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time, like, my thoughts are all over the place. One, because it's early in the morning. Two, because I can't breathe. And yeah, and three, because I didn't like script this out. Anywho, 36 to 48 is a third to a half of what I bought last year. So I think a little over a third, I should say. So I think it's a good goal. It's a realistic goal. I'm trying to keep myself to also 3 to 4 palettes per month. So that's, so far it's been okay. I've purchased my 3 palettes for the month of January, which meant I couldn't, and I'm keeping myself to 3 and giving myself the 4 buffer, if that makes sense. So I'm like, I hit 3 and I'm like, I'm done. And I'm leaving myself that 1 extra palette buffer to go, okay, if there's one that comes out between when I hit my 3 and the end of the month, you know, I have the capability for it. I also am telling myself I don't need to buy all of the palettes as soon as they launch. I don't need to be first. You'll see a video, or you might have already seen it. I think I'm going to put that one up first, but it's the Unearthly Cosmetics Dreamer collection. And I didn't buy that right when it launched because I was so over the pre-ordering. I was just like, I don't want to give, like, I had just received Sorceress Smoke and Fall Magic after waiting however many weeks to get those. And then they were launching Dreamer on pre-order. I was like, no. You've had my money. I just got these. I'm not going to spend money on more palettes from you before I've even had a chance to try them. So that's why I skipped Dreamer, but then I really, really wanted it. So I got it, but I bought it and I didn't have to wait for a pre-order. And that was such a more pleasant experience for me that I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I don't need to be the first one to pre-order everything and be the first one to get these palettes, and it'll be okay. I can still try them, you know, all that. So I forgot to tell you what shade I'm using. This is like a lighter green from Retro Glam. This particular shade in the Colourpop palette, like this one, that's this almost like a I went for like a sage green, but in some photos it looked gray. In some swatches it looked almost like a blue gray, but then in some pictures I saw it looked more green, and I was like, I have no idea, since I don't have the palette in front of me, I have no idea what color that actually is, so I'm going for green. So that's what I decided, but I don't know, that was a hard one. Also, I went really dramatic with these mattes. Yikes. So yeah, anyways, that whole tirade was just me saying I want to create more content that is not focused on the new. Technically, this is still focused on the new, but I want to create more content that's like encouraging people that's not necessarily encouraging people to buy the new thing. Because I feel like when you see content, people are like, oh, this palette's awesome, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, okay, not that you need it. You never need makeup, but that you are wanting it, right? You're like, oh, okay, they liked it, I want it now. I totally get that, but I just don't want to keep doing that. I also feel like I have so many palettes that I really like in my collection, and if I keep adding 100 a year and even just keeping like half of those, like that's so many. So even if I add 36 to 48, that's so many palettes to add this year, but I'm hoping that, you know, over time, as I say no, it gets easier and easier to say no. I'm also having a kid this year, so there might be a period of time where I don't even know what's happening in the makeup world. I don't know. We'll see how that goes for me. I feel like we got a really nice smoky, this is dark for me. I usually blend out my mattes a little bit more, but I did not. I'm trying to use this translucent powder to soften my edges a little bit. I feel like this eye blended okay. The other one's not really, but that's okay. I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, just that I don't want to bring the new. So anyways, hopefully with this video, what you get from it is either inspired to play with your own makeup, to, if you were interested in this color story, recreate this color story. You get look inspiration for palettes that maybe you already have. You just enjoy yourself by watching it. Or if you did pick this palette up, you do have some look inspiration, because I do still like to give that. This shade is for sure, I think it's Deciduous from the Harvest Moon palette. The purpose of these build your own palettes for me too is that I can remind myself that I don't need everything. Like, as much as I loved Twilight, I don't need to have a palette just because it's Twilight themed. You know, that is a much brighter green. I think just because it's on top of the black base, it made it even brighter. Because I used this and I felt like it had a darker base to it, but she's shining bright. I debated doing a build your own palette that was like what I would have done with the Twilight palette, but to be honest, I'm not really great at creating color stories that are usable, so then I scrapped that, because I'm like, I feel like I would have thrown a bunch of colors together and then been like, I don't know how you're supposed to create a look with those. So I do think for this palette they could have gone deeper. I feel like that's the main criticism for Colourpop, is that we could have had it go deeper. I obviously have made mine deep enough for me, but I'm also very light, so. Okay, now let's see. I think the issue on the Colourpop one is like, there's so many of these really light, like there was like really light colored shimmers where it felt like, did there need to be that light of a color of shimmer? You know, like 3 of them. That's where I think we could have had differences. Right, now I'm gonna go in this with the shade, this greeny gold from Viseart. This is the shade Pistache, or from the Petit Four Pistache. It's not the shade Pistache. It might be. I don't think it is though. You want to know something funny? So I decided, I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to do a look with this Twilight BYOP because I spent forever and a day trying to create this thing. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be, mainly because I kept myself to just my magnetic palettes that have square pans, which was harder than I thought, because I have a few that have circle pans, but not that many, and I didn't want square and circle. I don't know. It's just, that's where my brain was at. So, anywho, I spent so long on it that I was like, I'm going to do a look with that palette. And then also I was like, I have some meetings. I should do a more neutral look anyway. This is the perfect palette for it. Would you classify this as a neutral? I'm thinking no, you wouldn't. Oh, I wanted to try and replicate the liner. Let me see. Hold on. I was trying to give you all like a full Colourpop Twilight collection experience. So my green is for sure brighter than the green in their palette. Oh, they had better swatches on their website. Damn it. One of the liners looks like a teal metallic. I think I have something. I have this from Melt. This is the Steel Reflect. Okay, so this is the Reflect gel liner in the shade Steel from Melt Cosmetics. And I think that looks like it would be similar. So if you did get the Colourpop palette, just know that your green won't be greening as hard. Just kidding. It'll be green. It just won't be as bright, I don't think, from what I can see from pictures. I'd be curious to hear if you did get this palette in the comments down below. I know that it looked like it was a bit of a struggle because it sold out on Colourpop's website, I think within like 2 minutes. And then on Ulta's site, I feel like, wasn't the whole controversy that Colourpop said 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. and they meant the opposite, and so it launched on Ulta's website but then sold out by the time people went to check because they had the wrong info. Was that the controversy? Am I remembering that correctly? Also, if you all see palettes that you want, like that, because I know some of you will tag me in things and you'll say, oh my gosh, I want to see what you would do with this palette, or please talk about this palette. If it is a palette that I don't intend to pick up for whatever reason, I can do these sort of BYOP videos. I make no promises that they'll be full-on videos like this. I'm going to see how this one goes. but I'm down to still make them and do them either on TikTok, or I could even try and post them on Shorts. Shorts holds you to like a minute and I'm too chatty for that, so we'll see. We will see what I can do. This would be a really good look if you're a Seahawks fan. The green and the blue vibes here. I definitely did not need that liner. This liner is super similar from what I can see from pictures. Again, I'm not working off of these are all just my claims based on what I can see in photos, because I don't have the palette in my hand, but these liners they look pretty similar. That's gonna be it for the eye look, my neutral wearable look for work. So I'm gonna come back and show you the full finished look. I'm gonna do the same mattes on bottom that I did on top. I might work a different shade into the shimmer, but into the different shade shimmer into the inner corner, but I'll tell you about that when I come back. Okay, we're not totally done, but I realized I should try and replicate one of the highlighters. So one of them's for sure like a purpley highlighter, and then there's Vampire Skin, which is just like an icy white. So I think that's the one I'm gonna try and replicate for today's look. I think I only have one highlighter that I would classify as like an icy white, and it's this top one from the Glamlight and Ghostface highlighter duo. So I think that's about as icy as we're getting today. Let's see, does this give us Vampire Skin? I mean, it's icy and white. I really like Glamlight's highlighter formula. I haven't used a Colourpop Super Shock highlighter, and I could not tell you how long. I feel like that's looking similar to the picture I'm looking at over here. So I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say passes as a dupe for me. But anyways, I haven't used a Colourpop Super Shock highlighter in a while, but I do remember really liking it when I did. Also, I'm really going hard on the highlighter because it's Vampire Skin, you know? We gotta be sparkly, shiny. Okay, I've been thinking about trying to do a dupe for the oil. I'm gonna have to do it on a day. It's so hard because it's a body oil, but it's winter time, and I need to do it on a day where I'm willing to wear something to like show it off. But I have an idea. I have my Say Beauty, the like ultra glowy gel. I'm thinking I mix that with some shimmer shine. I don't know if I pull some of my pigments. I have some pigments that are very sparkly that I could maybe mix in, or adding in any of my liquid sparkly. I don't know. I have to think on that, but I feel like I could maybe do that. Part of me is thinking I have a Tim Marie Cosmetics loose pigment in Flurry that's like a white silvery gorgeousness. I'm almost like just dump that and buy another one, but I don't want to waste it. So anyways, that's what I was thinking about the gel, the body oil or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to think on that. But anyways, yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you what I added to the inner corner. So on the inner corner, I took this shade up top here. I'm like almost positive that is from Miss Xenon. Yes, it's from the Xenon palette. We took that icy white. That's what's on the inner corner. And yeah, we're going to finish this look. Going to do my hair, all that. And I'll show you the like finished look. Here is the finished look. I didn't have any lip oils that were the same shades as the lip oils they did. I think they had like a teal one, a black one, and a red one. I don't have those shades in lip oils. So I went with my Blend Bunny. What is this? Blend Bunny lip oil in the shade Ripe. It's purple, but I felt like it was as close as we were gonna get. I also kind of liked the purpley tone with what we had going on. So anywho, this is the finished look. It's not my favorite. I was picturing something different, so I think it's more of an execution issue for me, but yeah, it's not my favorite. I had one look that I had in my brain that was based on one of the liners they have. I think it's like a black one with red sparkle in it. And if I can figure out how to replicate that liner, I think that will be our next look. Otherwise, I'm going to recreate a look that I saw Colourpop share that I cannot get out of my head. Either way, we're going to do one more look. Whichever of those two looks I do here, I'll probably, like, if I do the one that's not the recreating, I forget her name. I want to say it's Katie on Instagram. I'm going to put up the picture here. But if I don't recreate her look in this video, I will do it on TikTok because I need to have that on my eyeballs like ASAP. So anyways, let's move on to look number 2. Day number 2, look number 2, whatever. I'm like wheezing today. I've had this issue since I had COVID. It's super annoying. So anyways, hopefully I can get through this. But anywho, we're going to do a second look with the Colourpop Twilight Build Your Own palette. Build Your Own palette that I created. I was actually going to wait longer to do this look because I really want to play with my Unearthly Cosmetics Dreamer palette and my new Glamlight Rick and Morty, but I saw everybody start to get their Twilight and Colourpop stuff and I was like, oh shoot, I gotta get this up faster. I believe I mentioned in the last clip I wasn't sure if I was going to recreate a look that I saw Colourpop share. I'm going to do that one on Instagram, and I realized the look that I wanted to do was actually with the red liner, and I thought to myself, I don't have to use a liner to get that. I have an eyeshadow shade that I think I can use to replicate that red metallic liner. The shade broke when it was shipped to me, so hopefully I repressed it good enough. It looks like it's still intact. This is a Viseart Warm Edit. I ordered it. It's sold out. Like, it's discontinued on their site, so I ordered it off of Poshmark because I have a need to collect all of the Viseart palettes. But anyways, I feel like that red metallic kind of looks similar to pictures I've seen of the red metallic liner from Colourpop. So we're going to do that. So anyways, that I don't know why I'm explaining all this to you. You're going to see it. So I wanted to intentionally do this look like with the really light shimmery shades, keep it really light and more silvery gray toned, and then have the red liner. I think that would be fun. And I think that's your best way in this kind of a color story to get the like red, you know, vibes if you weren't feeling the filtery blue-green vibes. So we're gonna start with this shade. It's from the Retro Glam palette. It's just this like neutral taupey shade. Okay, so next up is gonna be this dark brown shade down here, which is from the the Viseart Cashmere Charmeuse palette. I don't want to go that dark, so I'm just gonna blend these two shades together. Like, I'm gonna tap my brush into both of them to get like a lighter brown. Like, I want depth, but not that much depth for this look. Now, I don't know how deep the Colourpop palette actually goes, so maybe you could go in with that brown. That was, I think, one of the criticisms is that it didn't go that deep. But I feel like their first picture they released was like super washed out, and since then, every picture in the swatches have made it look like it does go darker. I don't have a dark skin tone, so I don't know if it's quite dark enough, but yeah. I'm going to take this shade, which is like a taupey shimmer here. And this is, I'm pretty sure, from the Xenon palette. Yeah. So now I'm going to take this silvery shimmer up in the corner here. It is from, I don't know why I looked. I know it's from the Xenon palette. Okay, that's essentially the eye look. And if you were a neutral girly, you could just end it here. But we're going to do a red liner situation, but we're going to use this shimmer shade. Like I said, it's just a red metallic shimmer. I just feel like it's the right red metallic. Otherwise, I would have picked a palette that you maybe still could have gotten, but I'm trying to dupe the vibes as much as possible, so this felt more important to me. Was getting it as close as possible, not necessarily that the palette that I'm pulling from is still available. I'm going to try and use a liner brush. I don't know how well this is going to go since this is a shimmer shade. But what I'm going to do is get the shimmer on the brush, use my Fix Plus, make it a more wet consistency. I don't know, a great way to duplicate liners that you don't actually need to have the liner for is to use your shadows in this way. The only annoying part is that you have to go back in, respray, versus in a liner format it's just going to come out of the tube. And I'm wanting to make this like a graphic wing, so all right, that's basically it. So that's going to be the look. I'm going to do the rest of my makeup, blah blah blah. It'll all come together at the end, but yeah, that's pretty much the eye look. Here is the finished second look. I had to go for the red lip. You know, I just had to. Especially with the red liner. I feel like it's so fun. I know the collection didn't come with a red lip, but it came with a red lip oil. So you could do a red lip and put your red lip oil over it and probably get a similar effect to this right now. Okay, so do I need to talk through anything else? I don't think so. I am going to say something. So I think in the beginning I said that I liked the color story. Like I liked that we were going for the filter, right? I liked the blue, green, brown color story with some grays. Like I felt like it was very moody. I got it with the filter of the first movie. I think my issue with the Colourpop palette is this entire top row is like looks very light, like these two shades. I think mine went a little bit darker, and then these two shades here went a little bit more vibrant. So as far as the color story I created with the stuff that I had, I'm really happy with this color story. I actually am not ready to put this away yet. Sorry, this is my like palette that it's in, but I'm not ready to put this away yet. I'm gonna leave it out and do at least one more look, maybe a few more, until I want to reach for any of the palettes that are in here and want to like use the completed palette. But yeah, I think, I don't know, I think I really like it. Let me know if you picked up the Colourpop Twilight collection. I think even if you don't have like magnetic pan palettes where you can do something like this, you could just stack the palettes or think of looks that you want to do and pull shades that you have similar from other palettes to recreate that. We don't have to buy everything. As much as we all love Twilight, we don't have to have it, you know? We can still get in the Twilight moody vibes with the stuff we already have. So hopefully if you didn't pick it up, you feel good about that decision. Or if you didn't pick it up intentionally, if you wanted to pick it up and it was sold out, I'm sorry for you. I hope you can get it when it restocks. If you picked it up, I hope you love it. I hope these looks helped with some inspiration for you. But yeah, let me know what you think about the collection in the comment section down below. I feel like we're going to get more movie collections. And what do you think the other ones will look like? What do you want to see from like a new moon or an eclipse or a Breaking Dawn? You know, and if they do Breaking Dawn, is it going to be Breaking Dawn collection or is it going to be Breaking Dawn part 1, part 2? I don't know. I've got questions. But anyways, curious to hear from you all in the comment section down below, and I will see you all next time. Bye!